the harvest.
This is Yasmine Benachour. Welcome. The 39th Ordinary Summit of the African Union is unfolding in Addis Ababa under the theme of ensuring safe water and sanitation to achieve Agenda 2063. Algeria is also participating on this important event, represented by Prime Minister Sefi Ghrieb on behalf of President Abdelmajid Tebboune. Leaders are discussing ways to strengthen cooperation and integration across Africa. This summit is also a key moment for the African Union's leadership. Following a regional rotation, East Africa now leads the organization. President of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, officially became the AU chairperson on the Saturday, taking over from Angola's João Manuel Gonçalves Lourenço. His main goals outlined on his first speech, peace in the Great Lakes region, involving youth insecurity and faster access to drinking water. Let's join our special envoy to the AU head of Carter's, Iman Noued. Hello, Iman. How is going today? Give us the latest news.
Hello, Yasmine, and hello to all our listeners. Yasmine, today President Tebboune sent a strong message to leaders and delegates attending the 39th Ordinary Session of the African Union in Addis Ababa, delivered on his behalf by the Algerian Prime Minister Sefi Ghrieb. In his address, President Tebboune calls for resisting illegal foreign interventions that stroke instability across Africa and impede conflict resolutions and democratic progress. He also affirms Algeria's unwavering support for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of African states, reiterates the backing for political solutions in Libya and Sudan, and emphasizes respect for sovereignty throughout the Horn of Africa. He also highlights the importance of supporting the United Nations efforts in Western Sahara issue and calls for fully activating the African peace and security architecture to make the African solutions to African problems a practical reality. Now, earlier this morning, the summit formally opened under the theme ensuring access to safe water and sanitation to achieve Agenda 2063 goals, a central challenge for the continent's sustainable development. The opening session saw the participation of key international figures, including United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, the Palestinian Prime Minister, the Secretary General of the Arab League, and Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Now, President Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi assumed the chairmanship of the African Union, outlining priorities such as peace in the Great Lakes region, youth empowerment, and advancing summit's focus on water. He also mentions that the focus should be on water access and sanitation. The two-day summit continues with discussions on economic, political, and social integration, justice and reparations report, the Peace and Security Council, institutional reforms, and Africa's engagement with the G20, aimed at reinforcing peace, stability, and development across the continent. That's all for now, Yasmine. This is Iman reporting from the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Algeria said climate change is slowing development in Africa during a climate meeting in the summit. Algeria called for fair financial support for African countries and announced a plan to create an African civil force to respond quickly to natural disasters. At the second Africa-Italy summit, leaders stressed the need for cooperation based on mutual respect and shared benefits. The meeting was led by Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Angolan President João Lourenço. Algeria confirmed its support for stronger Africa-Italy relations. Let's listen to Giorgia Meloni.
Yesterday, together with many of you, we attended the second Italy-Africa Summit, the first ever to be held on this continent. I would like to thank the Ethiopian Prime Minister, my friend Abiy Ahmed, and the leaders of the African Union for their hospitality and cooperation in organizing the event. In that context, we discussed what we can do to further strengthen and consolidate one of the most concrete outcomes of this idea of cooperation, which is the Mattei Plan for Africa. The investment plan that Italy has implemented in various nations of the continent in areas ranging from infrastructure to agriculture, from health to training. This is a strategy that we have built together because we do not conceive of the Mattei Plan as an Italian plan for Africa, but as Italy's contribution to your agenda, with a particular focus on this year on water-related projects. It is an open platform for putting our know-how, our technologies, our investments at the service of the objectives that the African Union has set out in Agenda 2063, starting with the creation of a continental free trade area that is integrated and prosperous.
African foreign ministers reject outside interference in African countries. They emphasize the principle of African solutions to African problems. The African Union Peace and Security Council also reaffirmed support for Somalia's unity. Switching to Sudan, a report by the United Nations Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights said the rapid support forces carried out severe violence during their attack on El Fasher, killing thousands of civilians. The report said the acts may account to war crimes and crimes against humanity. The Democratic Republic of the Congo agrees in principle to a ceasefire proposed by Angola to help restore peace in the Great Lakes region, while Kinshasa has welcomed Angola's mediation efforts aimed to restore instability in the Great Lakes region. The real question now is how this ceasefire will be implemented on the ground. For more on what happens next and the role that the United Nations is expected to play, we are joined here in the studio by our colleague Isaiah Natokunda. Hello, Isaiah.
Hello, Yasmine.
Isaiah, what does this development signal?
Thank you, Yasmine. While the Congolese government has agreed in principle to Angola's ceasefire proposal, the real challenge now is implementation on the ground in eastern Congo, where fighting between government forces and the AFCM-23 rebel group has destabilized this region for months. Yesterday, Viviane van der Per, the acting head of MONUSO, arrived in Goma. Her landing, the first UN flight into the city since it came under the M23 control, marks the start of the verification phase. Acting under Security Council Resolution 2808, the UN is deploying regional monitoring teams to ensure ceasefire is credible and respected. Let us listen to her statement.
Our exchanges with the AFC M23 mainly focused on the concrete implementation of the ceasefire monitoring and verification mechanism in accordance with the agreement signed by the AFC M23. It is essential that the commitments made in this agreement be swiftly translated into clear, credible and verifiable operational measures on the ground in accordance with Security Council Resolution 2808. MONUSCO is mandated to support a permanent ceasefire, notably through its participation in the verification mechanism and its support to the expanded joint verification mechanism and the GVM+.
You heard, the emphasis is on verification. The UN is preparing area reconnaissance to mark for current front lines before monitors deploy. These mechanisms, known as the AGVM Plus and GVM Plus, are designed to independently track compliance and prevent renewed clashes. But the key question now is whether the M23 will provide the security guarantees required for those monitors to operate freely. If the cooperation holds, the ceasefire could mark a meaningful step towards stabilizing the Great Lakes region. Back to you, Yasmine.
Thank you, Isaiah, for information. Now we're going to Nigeria. Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission announces the next presidential election will take place on the 20th of February 2027, officially starting the electoral process. Algeria and Burkina Faso signs an agreement to strengthen cooperation in energy, mining and training, aiming to boost economic partnership between the two countries. Cyclone Gezani struck Madagascar, killing at least 40 people and causing major destruction. Many areas are without electricity and water following the storm. And on the occasion of the National Radio Day yesterday, the National Algerian Radio celebrated World Radio Day by announcing the digitization of its archives and the launch of a new English language portal. The initiative aims to preserve the institution's rich audio heritage and make its content more accessible to international audiences. Muad Bab Ahmed introduces this special edition on the importance of the radio. Let's listen.
Let me say something from the heart. I believe radio has a mission just as important as cinema. Cinema shows Africa on the screen, but radio carries Africa in a voice, a single voice that can cross borders, deserts, oceans, a voice that can reach people who may never go to a movie theater, but who still deserve to feel included in the African story. This microphone, this job, this responsibility, for me, it is my way of participation in the storytelling rebirth of our continent. While filmmakers create images, we, as radio producers, presenters, journalists, create connection. We amplify African creativity, promote its artists, and keep our cultural flame alive. Cinema captures the eye, radio touches the soul, and together they build the Africa we dream of.
Yesterday evening, a friendly football match was held between the Western Sahara national team and former players of the Algerian national team. The match, which took place at Nelson Mandela Stadium in Barraqi, fully lived up to expectations on all levels. It was part of this special sport and humanitarian initiative aimed at highlighting the Sahrawi people's attachment to their identity and their right to self-determination. On the sidelines of the match, the president of the Algerian National Committee for Solidarity with the Sahrawi people, Saeed Al-Ayashi, stated that the game was a very special moment for solidarity and a firm support for the Sahrawi cause. Let's listen to Saeed Al-Ayashi on the microphone of Fouzi Marad.
We have just witnessed, of course, a friendly match between the Algerian team and the Sahrawi team. Above all, it was a very special moment of solidarity and a firm support for the Sahrawi cause, which Algeria has always represented. This image conveys the justice of the Sahrawi cause and, above all, the steadfast and unconditional solidarity of Algeria with the just cause, the cause of the Sahrawi people.
Dans celle du peuple sahraoui. Merci beaucoup.
This was the Harvest of the Day. Thank you, dear listeners, for listening. It was directed by Yasmine Benachour, controlled by Abdu, observation with Tawis, streaming with Islam. And you, dear listeners, join us tomorrow at the same time, 3 p.m. GMT +1, only at Ifriqiya FM.